Oh, neck stretched. Oh man, that's stiff. Okay, I think I'm good to go. Okay, welcome back everybody for part 5, chapter 5 in our study of the book of Acts. If you haven't read that chapter yet, we should go ahead and pause this video and read it. Pause. So let's get down into it. Acts chapter 5, from right off the bat, we see two individuals, Ananias and his wife Sapphira, and they find themselves in a really weird situation. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. We see Ananias and Sapphira, they decide to sell their property and give all their money to the apostles. This is what the early church was doing in the beginning. They were selling all their possessions and giving it to the apostles, and the apostles would distribute it as they saw fit, whoever had need of. And so this became kind of a trend in that early church, and so we see this couple doing the same thing. So we see Ananias, and he sells his property and he brings the proceeds to the apostles and gives him everything. No, not really. He didn't give them everything. He held back a portion of it, wanting the benefit of looking good and fitting in with everyone else who was giving everything, but not really being all in. And so Peter confronts him and asks him, Ananias, did you give everything? And Ananias says, yeah, I gave everything. Peter said, no, you didn't. And because of what you said, you didn't lie to me, you lied to God. And at that moment, God took his life. He died right there. They took his body out, and then in comes Sapphira, probably looking for her husband and wondering what in the world is going on. And so Peter decides to test her with the same question, said, hey, Sapphira, did you guys give everything that you had when you sold that property? Sapphira also answered, yes, we gave everything. Peter again confronts her and goes, no, you didn't. You didn't lie to me, but you lied to God, and you're going to be following your husband out that door. Bam, she dies. So we see this interesting situation, and just one takeaway from this is that, one, don't lie to God in whatever situation that you're doing. It's a good practice not to lie to him, because I know we try to make these promises to God. God, if you do this for me, I will do that. And then God does it for you. Do you find yourself doing that? No, you don't. You just think it's a fluke, and that just happened out of randomness. And so you don't fulfill that promise that you made to God. That, in effect, is lying to him. Even though he knows your heart and knows what your intentions are, that was kind of similar to what Ananias and Sapphira did at that moment. Now, will this happen to you if you get caught lying to God? Probably not, because this is the only situation that we see happen here in the New Testament where two people died because they lied to God. This situation doesn't happen anywhere else in the New Testament, but I believe God put this in the New Testament as an example to follow, to be sincere in our relationship with him, because God knows all, he sees all, and he's not fooled by our promises to him if he does something for us. So it's good practice not to lie to God, but in the midst of this crazy circumstance that happened where these two people died, the result of it was it caused more people to fear and respect God, and more people were added to the believers' congregation on a daily basis. People came to know that the disciples could heal. They knew that God was with them, and they had the respect of the people, even if some people were not believers. Everyone knew that they were preaching about Jesus, and everyone respected them, acknowledged them, and did not treat them in any way harshly. They were so well known for healing and praying for people that they would even bring their sick to get close to the apostles so that maybe Peter's shadow would fall on them and they would get healed. So they had so much respect in that community, even though some people were not believers. Now the high priest gets wind of all this stuff that's going on in the community of believers growing, and they start to get jealous. The high priest and his council get jealous of them, and so they go and arrest all the apostles and they throw them in jail. But just that night, just the first night in jail, an angel comes, wakes them up, opens up the door, and says, hey, get out of here and continue to preach about this life that you have been given. And the Greek word for their life is Zoe. Zoe, life. life means abundant life. It means living, actually living, not living in a shadow, not living in a fog, but you're actually living life. Go tell them about this life. And so that very next day, even though they were in prison the night before, they were found again in the temple, preaching the gospel, praying for people, healing people, doing exactly what they were doing, the exact same spot where they were arrested the day before. So again, they were arrested. Again, they were brought before the council. And again, Peter called them out on crucifying Jesus when they started to question them. So Peter again called them out for crucifying Jesus. And it says that they were cut to the heart, meaning that they were convicted, and they were also enraged that they started to plot to kill the apostles at that moment. But in that moment, a Pharisee named Gamaliel stands up and says, "Hey guys, wait a second. I want to tell you something." He sends all the apostles out, and they begin to counsel and plan together what to do with these apostles. And Gamaliel gives some really great advice. Now, Gamaliel, he was a well-known rabbi at that time, and even written in the Jewish writings of the Talmud. He was a respected rabbi, a respected teacher, and everyone knew who Gamaliel was. And on top of that, Gamaliel was the mentor of the future apostle Paul. Gamaliel mentored Paul in the ways of the law, in the ways of God, before Paul became a believer. And that's why I think Paul became such an avid defender of the gospel, because he was taught by this amazing rabbi named Gamaliel. So Gamaliel offers to them some awesome advice. He says, guys, if this is from God, these believers, this teaching, if it's from God, you can't stop it. But if it is not from God, it will fail. Do not mess with these people. Leave them alone. God will do what he wants to do to them. The council heeds Gamaliel's advice, threatens the apostles, says never preach again in Jesus' name. Then they beat them, and then they let them go free. And the apostles, just like the awesome people that they are, they praise God that they were counted worthy to suffer pain and beatings and persecution for his name, just like Jesus was beaten. So the apostles go right back to where they were in the temple, continuing to preach, teach, pray, and heal people. Such awesome individuals there. So that's about it. The next time we come back, we're going to be looking at Acts chapter 6 and Acts chapter 7. We're going to be talking about the first martyr of the faith, Stephen. Again, if you have any questions regarding what I just said, any questions regarding God, leave a comment below. Get in contact with me. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions through this form. So we love you guys. Keep on praying, keep on thinking, and we'll see you soon. Bye. So that's about it. And so that's about it. So that's about it. And so that's